Hello. Welcome to my yo. We're nesting the memes now. So today we're going to be doing some more work on the mod, and maybe some work on some maps. I actually started converting what I think will be a good placeholder for the Clarion. It'll be small, unlike the current one. So I've already converted that graphic, but I have not finished fixing its team color. That's slightly more annoying process that I figured I would save for the stream. And that's that, really. There has been some progress on the string issue that we found earlier. I was going to test an issue with PyDat, but apparently it doesn't even launch. So that's pretty cool. I think that means I have to admin CMD it or something, so I can run it with the debug parameter. Pretty epic. Oh, I guess I can't really screenshot anything there. I forget what the debug parameter is. What are the options? I'll just search that. Well, I got nothing. What a shit search result. No, I don't need. I have the main shit, the main commit, which works fine. That's what I've been using. Is right here. But you wanted me to test your version that has the potential fix to the play sound crash, right? So I mean, I can go here and confirm that it's still broken. But in the other one, it's not like I literally just write in the parameter to start it, it launches, and then nothing happens. So I'm wondering, I forget how to actually run the program through debug, like, so that it dumps stuff. I guess, oh, this is from today. Yeah, so actually it did give me something. There you go. I sent it to you. I guess it was saving it to a log this whole time. Would have been useful information. Maybe the PyTile stuff is like that too. Maybe like if I hit that PyTile crash that just freezes, I might be able to find it in here. Hard to say. Back in early 2000, I came with insane prophecy that something important will happen on 29 April in 2020. Well, the prophecy is real. Is that real? You came up with that date? And everything? IDAC crashes because of TBL changes? Well, now you know why Poiquart fucking ran away from this program. Well, now you know, yeah, I mean, for you too, like, well, no, I don't remember, but I don't remember what time it was, but yeah, we struck the fucking string limit. Can you believe? It's not even string, it's number of characters that can be inside the file. It's limited to 65 kilobytes, just like the PyAI files, the AI bins. No, Ultralisks. We could add more tooltips. You can have up to 65,535 strings in the game, like individual tooltips. The problem is you can also only have 65,535 characters in those strings total. Like, the letter A is a character. So we have that many in the, or very, very close to that many in the file now. So there's actually a limit of the number of letters you can type out, which we hit. So it's more than just tooltips, though, because the game strings, the in-game strings, are used for everything. They're used for, like, labels, like when you mouse over an upgrade and it says, like, oh, Protoss ground weapons, or whatever the upgrade is. Like, that's a string in here. Unit names are strings. Not that we need to add those, but if I needed to, like, retitle one to be longer or something. So Veek put together a system, an extended version of the TBL file format, which is what we were using. Yeah, I agree with that, iQueer. Unfortunately, I don't think it's... I don't know how feasible that is. I guess that's like one of the benefits of remastered using XML, but I don't know how the formatting works in that. Presumably, you wouldn't get cucked by trying to add stuff. Yeah. Like I said, man, we need MS Quare, modding suite Quare. But if you could hook the game to display RGB value text, for one, we would be able to do RGB values for the like the custom player colors that we have for in-game strings, assuming we could read those in-game. And for another, we could do stuff like emoji. We could actually add emoji. Yeah, there's not really any benefits for remaster. You're right. Honestly, the benefit of not needing to forward your ports is like the biggest thing. That wasn't even a launch feature. They added that in later. Rainbow tooltips, yeah. True. What I'm getting at is if map Quare can load text Quare and make, you know, if it has the same functionality as text Quare, then we'll really be in business. I can't wait until DF comes up with the jungle blended cliffs. He's talked to me about what his next plans are. I'll leak those to you guys. So he's working on the space ramps, right? He was doing that before this map crap. He's also working on coastal temple. Yes, temple that will blend in with swamp water. And also the normal water. It will be epic. Yeah, we just need game Quare, you're right. God damn it. Why has it gotta be like this? I'm pretty happy with how this map turned out, though. There's still some things I would like to change. I feel like the mineral layout, for example, for this player is lackluster. Like, I think I initially envisioned it such that you would want to expand to the left with your creep. But looking at it now, there's not really much of a reason to do that. Like, the trees kind of crowd that out for one. For another, it's probably better to just expand down here and seal that area off that way. And you're so far away from the other players as well that you're not really under threat. So I feel like even though you have selectively, like, you look at different chunks of the area of the map, you know, they work out. They look pretty neat. I like them. But you also look at it like, oh, you know, it's just not, it doesn't necessarily end up being cohesive. I think a large part of that is due to the very large distance between some of the enemies. Like, the whole bottom strip and the whole top strip are so far away from each other that this would potentially work as like a large-scale 3v3 map, where it was understood that there would be a very wide rush distance. But then you get the other two players to make it a 4v4 or a free-for-all or whatever. Maybe a free-for-all would actually work out better. You've got your immediate neighbors, and then you've got your, you know, more distant foes. And I feel like that would work out. This would work out better as like a free-for-all, 8-player free-for-all map. This naming convention is insane. Why, Veek? Listen, if you made a map editor, wouldn't you want to call it Veek Draft? Or Map Veek? I was the one who made sure. I kept calling it MapQuare, but I don't think iQuare wanted. I think he still calls it like Extended Mapping Tool 3 or something. I think that's the quote-unquote official name of it, but we all keep calling it MapQuare, so that's what it is now. Also, a reminder to vote on map crap. By the looks of things, Veek and Balethal will be winning, but anything can happen. I can't believe you, Alexander actually voted for UED Commander and Hoopter. Oh, this has already been made. This was my map crap submission. It was an... Listen, I gotta tell you, you missed out a lot. So the entire week that led up to Saturday, or I guess Friday, every day, like from 2 Fridays ago until this past Friday, I had been working on this map, and I was like, even we were testing it in Hydra. That's how we found out about those Protoss desyncs and stuff like that. And you know, we were testing it. We were going through it, the whole thing, and we were like trying to figure out what was going on. And we like everybody thought it was a Hydra map. Everybody thought it was a Hydra map. And then on Friday, I added a bunch of fucking crows and changed the entire game state to the disaster that you see in the VOD. And yeah, I really let the cat out of the bag. The jig was up. It was time to fraud. So even the development cycle of my mapcrap map was fraudulent and misleading. Because the whole time people thought it was a Hydra map, but it was actually crows. But at the end of the day, we ended up having a pretty fun map, so whatever. Even though the textures were fucking stupid. Yeah, we let the crow out of the nest. That's right. Alright. I do now realize that I did never tree the upper area over here, so might as well do this real quick while it's on my mind. We're not going to tree too hard. We need to leave some build space for that player. But another aspect of this whole thing is that now we get to actually do user select. And we're not developing with the assumption or the advantage, I guess, that, oh, we know the race of the player before we actually finish the map. As we're developing the map, previously I was designing it such that you would have a certain position in mind. Or, like, there would be some advantage. You know what I mean? But not so anymore. One sec. Just had to say hi to Mike. That is one of those things that I'm pretty excited by, though. Just the fact that we have the tools now that we can make some pretty cool multiplayer maps. And I'm also really interested in exploring the idea of unbalanced multiplayer maps. In that, like, not unbalanced as in it's designed for one race to be able to win way disproportionately compared to other races. But the fact that there's, like... I think it's way more interesting to have maps that are like where 60-40, you know, in favor of Terran in a matchup of TVZ or something. Like, I think that's way better than having the outcome be more even. Surely there can be some maps that are more even with regards to certain matchups. Like maybe TVP is usually a 55-45 or something like that. Like it's more even, or even exactly dead even in terms of win rates. Just using win rates as an example here, I'm well aware that they are a flawed metric to judge efficacy by. I learned that lesson when dealing with Riot's statistics for League of Legends. But just to use it as an example, right? That quantification of player success based on their matchup and based on their race using a particular map, I think can be useful when you consider the fact that certain maps are undoubtedly... what's the term? Like, it actually, for one, it makes the games more exciting to win if you know that a player is really good at a specific matchup, but the map is balanced in, you know, against his favor. Then it's like, if he can overcome that challenge, he's even more godlike than we even imagined before. And it also, like, it further tilts the balance of the multiplayer ecosystem or whatever towards valuing playing a large, long series, like best of 7 or best of 11 or something like that, where like you're playing a lot of games. And the idea is these games can go for long, or they can be finished early by a rush or something. Like there's a lot of room for maneuverability there. And that to me is worth a lot. Like that's something that we should be celebrating. And it seems like just map balance tends to be considered like, oh, if this map is unbalanced, it's a crime. You know, it's not a good thing. I'm not necessarily saying it's always a good thing either, but I think that there's a lot more value in it than most people see. Right, asymmetrical maps, exactly. And thanks for that quick fix. Let me take a look. So I guess that would be in here. Now I can do this. Still crashes, but I'll send you the crash log. The crashes I'm playing a sound. It actually starts up this time. So, you did fix that. Oh. Well, the way around it would apparently be to use a different system or something, right? Because it's like crashing within the Shadow Flare library, if I remember correctly. Is there a way you can just make it not crash and maybe pop an error up? I mean, really, that button should not be there if there's no functionality that's supported by it. But failing that, maybe you can make it so that it just, if an error message pops up instead of it actually working in any capacity. Well, I definitely agree with that. We've already decided that there's way too many stupid built-in limitations to the way that these programs are designed, because they were designed with the idea that there wouldn't be any extensions or improvements to the game engine, which is just, obviously, it's like not... They certainly are not future-proof, we'll put it to you that way. So... Is there a... I mean, iQuare's been working on GraphQuare in C++, as well as, obviously, his mapping editor. Is there a particular language that you would prefer, or is C++ fine for something like this? Because I'm obviously fairly ignorant when it comes to that, but... I'm just under the assumption that C++ is the go-to, generally speaking. And that it was weird. I think the reason why the Python modding suite was made in Python was so that you could still use it on a... so that you could still use it on Macs or something, but you can't run mods on Macs. So there's not really any reason for that. Doesn't make any sense. Like, the idea that you would be spending time... I mean, talk about performance. That's another thing. These programs seem very slow to me. Like, particularly considering we're handling, generally speaking, very lightweight files. GRPs, a lot of compression going on. Like, there's not really any reason I can think of that they would need to be so slow. Particularly on modern hardware. So is that just a limitation of the language, or... I don't get it. I'm sure you've noticed it yourself when you were working on modding and stuff. Like, it's just incredibly slow as a series of programs. Especially the anything that has a graphical interface with it. PyDat takes a long time to start up, but even like PyAI sometimes takes a while to start up. It doesn't seem reasonable or necessary at all. Like, it's not reflected on the load that the program carries. Is that like initializing libraries or something and taking a while to do that, or what? The world may never know. But hello, Ilya. Hello, Connor. You have finally arrived to yo. Hope you're doing well. Okay, I think I've successfully treed everything absent-mindedly. BRB again. T. Kinker. I feel like Kinker would be like a last name, and then T would stand for Tony. You know what I mean? Oh, I misread that and thought you said I'm not going to bed. It's like, wow, you say so. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Well, you have to use A's, but not for, like, making a modding tool, I think is the assertion here. Well, I just got some pizza, so I'm doing pretty good. and we're working on fixing some bugs with the Python modding suite, or at least getting some workarounds to some of their crashes. So that's good. Veek's been pretty helpful, and iQuare is, of course, very helpful. And we're all working together to smash the newly discovered string character limit. So that's cool. Oh, that's rough, Ilya. Did they give you any information on whether or not once they open back up, things would work out, or do you think they're gone for good? So what are you gonna do now, Ilya? Just figuring that out, I guess. What the fuck? Is that close to where you are? Oh, I see. Hopefully it's hopefully it's not so crazy, that's all I'll say. Speaking of which, iQuare, how are things where you are? Things are still stable? Nothing crazy happening? What's up, Scuzzy? You caught me in the middle of a snack break, so why don't you look at some swamp water? And yes, you can build on it. Well, you will be delighted to know that the new version is like 1,000,000 times better, though still under construction. Relatively stable, that's good. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you couldn't build too many places, because I wanted it to be like a fucking swamp, dude. But it's okay. Some clearings here and there. I still have to add mud to a bunch of different places. Get some visual variety. And we are also still waiting on some other custom tiles. But I really like how things have turned up. Both. I'm doing the first 3 campaigns entirely, but that involves remaking the Terran missions completely. Also, I was just scrolling through the documentation for the new tech trees and stuff. I decided to rework heroes pretty significantly, and one of the things that I ended up doing for Zerg was I added a new class of unit called Aberrant, and basically it's like I wanted to make it like a powerful unit, but still feed into the idea that Zerg spam units, right? Zerg are going to have a lot of them. So it was an interesting balance, but I've been considering like how that's working out right now. So I was just scrolling through that. There's a whole bunch of different things though. There's like I think there's something like 6 or 7 new units, and maybe the same number of new buildings for each race, and it might be more than that in some cases. Water could be frozen. Yeah, in our own RTS, maybe some environmental stuff like that can be worked in. Aberrant mutation that makes your units fly. Yeah, that's going to be a really powerful one. That's the Aberrant Defiler, the Mactistok. It's I think it's this one. Yeah, when you mutate Swarm to level 2 for it, you basically can individually upgrade these units across 3 different classes. And if you do the one that benefits your allies, you turn all nearby Zerg units. It might just be all nearby units entirely, but all nearby units will be able to hover across terrain. So, like, they'll be able to they basically turn into flying units. So you imagine just like an ocean of Zerglings hovering around Defiler. Or Ultralisks, yeah. It's just, like, what kind of nightmares would that have? But that's like a very expensive unit, so the idea is that like the risk is if that unit dies, suddenly all of your Ultralisks fall into space or water or whatever. That would probably be how I would have to balance it. It's like that's a very risky move if you end up getting it to happen, like, and your Mactistok gets sniped, gets irradiated or something. Suddenly, ooh, you better get all your units out. But yeah, that's been where most of our development time has been stationed on, is the mod. I've made some maps like this one, but we're making a lot of custom art, and we're making a lot of custom tech tree and balance changes. So a lot of it is based in that. Yeah, I'm just hoping that people can retain their well-being. The problem is, with all of this quarantine stuff, like, I really sympathize with the people who are actually under lockdown, like government-enforced lockdown, but that means that they can't actually pay their bills. Like, what do? You know what I mean? Like, it was handled so sloppily by everybody. Nobody could foresee it, I suppose, but... Oh yeah, well that's also something else that's happened. Like in America, people will say like, "Oh, I've been," like somebody had a death where they died from like a heart complication or something, but because they tested positive for coronavirus, it was listed as a coronavirus death instead of a heart complication death. Like, shit like that happens. Apparently, yeah, more widespread than I expected. So. Oh yeah, I was just setting up the lurker den yesterday. So we are going to make sure that we have a GRP that we can use here. I'm pretty sure... I should have written the GRP ID down there, but whatever. I don't know, like... I kind of also want to implement the sentry turret, but the only graphic that I can think that would be useful for it is kind of lame, and it's been used everywhere. Oh yeah, I've got to convert some graphics anyway. Actually... So I guess I would cut out the solar panels for this. And then I think it could be just by itself a fine structure. It's a little bright on the right, but whatever. And this one's already ready to go, I think. I'm not sure what that would go for. What's up, Popu? Wow, so you've got way more experience with quarantine than we do then. This is like a first time for us. I'm just scrolling through some art assets from another game that I've been slowly converting. Very slowly. Alright. This is where we get to have the ever fun time of laboriously painting team color. Again, it's a placeholder unit. I'm not terribly concerned about it being great. I just want it to look fine at a glance. So we are not going to stress about the details too much. Because these units are from a different game, they're automatically going to look pretty distinct. So I don't have to worry too much about that either, which is nice. It's like one of the few times, like, because I'm not banking on this unit or this graphic being like the be-all end-all for the unit, I'm just using it as placeholder. It's actually one of the few times where it pays to, or it's useful to not worry about this sort of thing, more or less. I'm not sure why. I guess the front, right? That's where that's coming from. But let me scroll all the way around here. I don't think we're supposed to be able to see that from this angle. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that's not reasonable. Nice. All right, so from this angle, I'm also not sure that we would see it. Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to see like these two front bits. This bit we should be seeing, I suppose. But we'll darken it up a little bit so it's not quite as distracting. I don't remember what else we have to do here. I'm probably going to recolor the green bits to be more golden or something so that it fits with the Protoss aesthetic. This race was like basically Protoss plus green. There wasn't really that much more thought put into their aesthetic, I don't think. Maybe they like actually researched Egyptian architecture on like Blizzard. But even then it's like, why? Maybe the backstory for that particular race in the game is that they were the Egyptians. Never know. Could have been. Could be real. Again, we're gonna try to darken this up a little bit. Simulate the lighting that we lost when converting this stuff. I know I said we're not going to worry too much about this, the individual bits, right? The details. Hard to do that when you're doing pixel art, though. It's like you see pixels. You want to modify pixels. Ah, shit. Yeah, they got some weird patterns going on over here. More annoying aspect of this whole thing is probably going to be that midsection, but I think we got it. Really, I think the whole green like side of this, like over here, should probably be team colored, but that's obviously I'll reserve that for whoever actually wants to muck about with this asset in the future. At least my version of it will be slightly more reasonable for them to work with than the fresh off the conversion version. Oh yeah, since I just did that, copy it over. One of these days I should do a dedicated art stream to do all those, well, I wouldn't be able to do it in one day, but all those doodads. That I need to do. If you guys have played in Consummate, you know the doodads I'm talking about. Making them actually reasonable in terms of visual quality. And yeah, will be pretty good. My mind playing tricks on me. I do think it's kind of funny that all of these games out there exist, right? And they're like, they don't have great assets, but their engine is way less limited than Starcraft's is, right? So they can actually have like transparency, RGB, no worries about palette limitations or whatever. It's like when you have the tools to do really good work and you don't, what are you doing? It's like you have everything. You have all these tools. You just don't do any work, though. Very perplexing. Yeah, whatever, that's fine. I'm trying to learn to not put too much effort into this stuff when it's unlikely to be worthwhile. Oh, that is not the right one. Yeah, you don't say. Like, I'm just amazed that nobody's done better than Starcraft yet. A high bar to set, I guess. But there's been so many years. Game came out more than 20 years ago. How is it still the best? What an indictment of the industry. Alright, well, we've done that. Out of here. Yeah, StarCraft 2, it patching so often is one of the reasons why it's so insanely confusing and dumb. Just bum, 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 bum. Iquarius found out that he's got to wrap 71 different cases for the just to increase the text. God damn it! Why, Blizzard? Yeah, I mean, they've fully embraced the fact that they are just patching for the sake of patching by this point, you know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They're patching just so that they can say that they patched, more or less. Fuck, where am I? Wonder how that happened. The Arbiter thrusters are okay for that unit, actually. A little jank, but better than I expected. Oh shit! Well, let me make sure that I actually added it in correctly. Yeah. Well, we almost had some progress there. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, I do have to edit something, though. In this. Did I already write in a weapon ID for the Clarion? Not yet. Oh, I wasn't convinced they needed a weapon, I think. Alright. Well, I don't actually know how to, excuse me. Hold on. I don't know how to make it so that the unit behaves normally. Oh, I'll just give it basic commands for now. Alright, well, we hooked up that anyway. Should be an actual flying unit now. Pay no heed to the, whatever that was.
Set us loose!
I still want to investigate whether or not it's possible to change the colors. But this also didn't remove the Scarab's weapon icon, so I'm assuming that there's a bunch of hard code for that particular unit ID, which means I may need to use a different unit ID. Oh, I think queens see way more use in melee than something like ghosts, for example. Even scouts are used more than ghosts, so I would reconsider that proposition. Anyway, I'll be right back. Got to use the bathroom. Where's my BRB? Here it is. Okay, bye. Hello. Still getting used to that. Well, you can parasite stuff and the player may not actually notice. But the other thing that you can do is obviously you just ensnare. Ensnare is super useful. Broodlings are pretty useful against Mech Terran. You'll see that all the time. So, yeah, queens are fine. You have to build the Queen's Nest anyway to get Hive Tech. So it's not that much money to quickly grab Ensnare and 1 or 2 queens. And it absolutely eviscerates bio. What's up, Alexander? I went back to the Heroes and RTS thread on the forum. Wrote a short post about my thoughts so far. I think the takeaway from it was it's probably better to take a system similar to Aberrance and repurpose that for other races. Like Champions for Protoss or something like that. Mercenaries maybe even for Terrans. And you should be able to use those in similar fashions, you know? It just seems to me that with heroes being limited in how many times they can what's the term? How many times they can be used, right? Because you can't rebuild them, or if you do rebuild them, that's like taking one of the aspects of them being a hero away anyway. They just turn into a regular unit. You can only build one of them, obviously. And so, like, there's too many restrictions on them for them to be considered a regular unit. If you remove those restrictions, they basically are a regular unit. Why did you add heroes to begin with? But if you don't remove those restrictions, then they become really dangerous for the player who builds them. Because it's like, if they don't get effective use out of them while they're active, then they are shit. And on top of that, you, when the hero dies, all of the investment you made into that hero is now sunk cost that you can't get back, right? It's the same issue that I had with naval RTS games, where they had the boats, and it's like, well, once I stop using the water because I've landed on the other area, then all these boats are useless. It's just money that I'm not able to use. It's the same exact thing. You know, you can't salvage that money, so I think turning it into a more distinct and replayable systems would be better. Well, if you can see a use for the Queen can't really be the most useless unit, because you can't ever see a use for a Scout, unless you're on an island map or something. Oh, I remember this one. I was actually thinking about whether or not it made sense to do like a group policy thing from now on, where we oh wait. Where we do something a little different, where we allow like multiple people to work on the same thing if they want to, or whatever. You like that lag? I like that lag. This is a building. Just trying to clean it up a little bit. I think my dog ate pizza or something. So I'm mostly thinking of getting rid of this entire bottom area. Something like... Can't believe how laggy Photoshop gets. So many memory leaks. Wow, that was impressive. Did you start on your melee maps stuff yet? Out of curiosity, Alexander? I'm gonna go ahead and say no to that right side piece. It doesn't really seem like it has any place here.
Zombies, exploding heads, creepy crawlies, and a date for the former. This is classic.
Fuck. Alright, so it's 88. Is what I'm getting. Just trying to figure out what the offset was at this point. And obviously I'll clean up that stray gray pixel from the right-hand side. I guess that's a nice indication that I'm at the right offset if I see that pixel. See you later, Connor. Thanks for popping in. Oh, this one needs to be moved down, I see. I think that should be easy enough. What's up, Mutas does? Welcome. I think that frame just needs to go. In fact, I think that was the cutoff point for all the frames needing to go. Well, the real question is, if we have 88 wide here... Alright, and we've got... How many? Oh, back. 8 times 88. 704. And now that we've liberated the bottom half, we can also make this like 154. All right. Cool. Ah, shit. Well, there's your placeholder graphic. It's, those little appendages at the top there, the coral reef or whatever the fuck is aliased all to hell, because most of it was transparent, I think. So... we'll just close Photoshop and reopen it later if we need to. Even their buildings are annoying to convert. Zerg-like race. Alright, so we got that. What's next? Alright, so where the hell are we going now? And we have the Gorgoleth Burrow graphic. I find it kind of funny that the only structure that's sizable at all for the Terrans, like everything else is an add-on or a defensive structure, or like the ion cannon is big, I guess, but captaincy, the hero structure, that's it. I guess I didn't really mess around with any of the buildings from Tho, whatever the fuck that is. So maybe I'll pop into their buildings and see if I see anything that I like. Apparently there's Ast. I think this is just asteroids. I guess these could be doodads, maybe. I'd have to do a lot of cleaning up. They've got some weird shit glow all over them. Plasmoid! Imagine trying to make that into a land structure. You'd have to do so much reconstruction. What the fuck? I'm looking for small structures, ideally, that I can use for add-ons. This one might work. Not sure. I'm also keeping my eye open for a captaincy type structure. This could definitely work for that. I think this, obviously all of these are meant to be orbital, like space structures, like floating structures. But I can always take the bottom off. And what I'm actually thinking based on this is like I could take the red hangar bay off as well, and it would just look like it's a flat, you know, flat on the ground. It would take off that drone or whatever the fuck the... I guess that's like a buoy or a lighthouse or something. I guess that could be a sentry turret. It's probably way too big, but... Yeah, imagine this structure. Holy fuck. Could be a quarry right here. Probably too large. A lot of these structures are very large. Okay, so let's go back to this structure. Build 06 is what I thought might have some value here. What was the other one? It was like 12 or something? I don't remember. No, it was 10. So grab these. And I guess I'll grab that turret as well, just in case. Some models? No, I don't think so. I was a while ago, and then some furry creeped me out, so I left. It's true. What did you expect? Not gonna stay there when that guy's like hitting on everybody in the fucking server. That was like before I even knew what a simp was, you know? So there was also some weird, I think she was from like Thailand or something, or... No, I don't remember. So long ago. But I was asking, I was trying to learn Korean once upon a time, and she said something to the effect, like, I was like, oh, well, you know, if you know Korean, maybe you can help me learn it. And then her response to that was like, for lunch, I have a glass of water and a nap. And I was like, okay. This is not a person I should be speaking with. That server, those were my interactions on that server. Those two things. Furry and glass of water and a nap. Is it any wonder I dipset? Oh! Not time to cut off the bottom yet, dude. Alright. I'm guessing you know what the furry I'm talking about, but by your reaction. Well, I may not remember the name anyway, but it was... Not what I was looking for, that's for sure. Not why I joined that server. The fuck? Dude, Windows is having a spin in my background. I was thinking about, you know, hawking it out there, right? Just like, hey, check out my shit. But I figure people will just find it if they're into it. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's humble. It's just that when I do share it with people, I get, like, just smacked across the face with, how do I install version 1.16.1? I read your guide and didn't follow any of the steps, and it didn't work. Help. And it's like, alright, well, there's only so many times I can deal with that. You know. At least this is an organized graphic. Man, you guys should have seen some of the shit I was pulling from this game earlier. And I'm sure I'll find even worse stuff later. But, like, some of the earlier pulls were very great. I might not even want all of the animations that are in this, but let's see. One thing that you'll occasionally see with mods is people will pull graphics from all sorts of weird locations, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this fits. And then it's like playing an animation at a different frame set, or a different frame rate, rather. It's like, I don't know if it does fit, man. Kind of looks fucking strange. Alright, now I've got to try to piece together all this stuff. I guess I could do like make frames from layers or something. Oh man, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Alright. New plan. I just index all these individually. Oh, I don't think I did the cleanup for this actually, so. Yeah. That's okay. Okay. Well, time to figure this one out. Looks like we still have some gaps here, but better than what it was. I gotta keep reminding myself, this is a fucking placeholder. Placeholder with a lot of frames, though. Well, it's going to be shrunken anyway because it's too big. That will reduce its resolution automatically. But like I just said, it's a placeholder. Not even sure if it'll work right now anyway, but I'm not even really sure what the fuck it is, honestly. Like, not quite sure about that one. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to open this up here. We're going to try to reorder it so that it's accurate. We know this is going to be the last frame, so I'm thinking we probably want the darkest appearing frame. Alright, we know that there's seemingly 2 frames where it's not dark, right, over in the back. So we're going to move those together. Move this one out. Following this piece in here. So starts back here. I don't know where it went now. I think it's in the middle. And you can't really see it anymore. But I think, yeah, it's going through the middle, so this is alright. And it jumps out here, so we might be missing an intermediary frame. Because again, this is going to play at a pretty high frame rate. Oh, and suddenly it's in the middle again. So we'll move that back up. The other thing is that they actually animated lights at different points during the animation, so even though I could, in theory, just find the first half of the animation and then play it back, we are losing out on some light data there that way, so I'm not sure if I want to do that one. So let's see if we can find one where the... I can also sort of use these lights as an indication down here. I mean, even once I pull this into sequence, the idea would still be to, cut down on the number of frames for obvious reasons. So that it matches the frame rate, roughly speaking. I need a magnifying glass. This is why frame atlases are shit. So that these 3 frames seem good, right? Then I don't know where the fuck it goes. Doesn't even seem to exist. Move that all the way to the top. Oh, found one where it's further up. Alright, now we look like we're getting somewhere. So, what? This is like frame 7? This should be like frame 5 down here. What the fuck? Hey, you can't do that. What a piece of shit. I was finding it. And now it's fucking gone. God damn it. Alright, well... Ooh. I don't know what would be a better method. I thought that would be fine, but if it's just gonna crash, fuck it. I'm looking for... Yeah, it looks like 17 has like a matching frame at some point. Maybe all of these ones are... Yeah, all of the ones where I can't see it at all seem to be like where it's actually in the back. So maybe something like 20 is actually the first frame. Then we'll say... So 18 would be frame 2. I don't know why the lights are flickering, but yeah, that seems to be the case. Alright, so we know that this is frame 21, right? So that means we can find the one where it's all the way at the end, which is 06 by the looks of things, and count backwards. That's frame 20. And then we can find the ones where it's next furthest out. So that's frame 19. And the next is 5. So frame 18. And this is 8. Oh. Frame 17. I guess 4 and 9 are the same frame, but the light's on, right? So. So this is 10, and that is 14. Hold on. So I think we have 3 as the next, and then 11 after that. And then 12 and 13. Actually, not sure. Oh, never mind. I am sure. Fifteen is 8. Two is from 7. So, now we can have the same thing happen, say B. Definitely not a turret. I have no idea what it was meant to be initially. I was going to use it for an add-on. I finally got the animation right. So this is... build 6 team. Just pop in here. Yeah, sure. A coffin pusher, yeah. Yeah, this is what they used to kick Alexei Stukov out of the battlecruiser. Remember that? What's up, V? Well, things are going alright. Trying to find the few times where the light is on, and there's like two cases. Just got one of them. Oh, that wasn't it. Here it is. Epic. I don't know. I know a lot about it, but I don't view it as respectable storytelling. Or even really interesting concepts most of the time. I guess the Protoss are kind of interesting to me. The Zerg are like, they would be interesting if they weren't so poorly done. The Protoss were also poorly done, but not as destroyed as the Zerg were. So. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do frame set. What? Isn't there a 13? This is such an asinine system. Oh, I must have put it in the wrong one. Anyway. This one's actually fairly easy to remove the silliness from. But why do you ask? What did I do? 220? Oh, wait. No, that's not what I have to do. It's like... There was a paste in place function, but it didn't actually do what I wanted it to do. I don't remember how it actually works in Photoshop. Trying to make sure I don't lose out on all the definition here. Sealing up this gap in the middle, and we'll be good to go, I think. Well, I'm still planning on shrinking it, but who knows what that will entail. At least we've got another asset converted. I don't think it's going to work out. These assets always end up being bigger than I expect. You feel me? I may have to go in and fix the lighting later, but... What even is sill? Oh, these are the void. I forgot about these guys. Perspective on some of their shit looks very strange. Holy void portal. Check out my void. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these buildings. You know what I'm saying? I like how they have all of this shit, but we couldn't even play the tutorial. Like, we played it, and it didn't even work. I guess this could, in theory, work as a future station. And you just cut off the bottom. Their almost built frames are really, really difficult to actually do, though. So I'm gonna have to like do one from scratch or something. That could work. Oh, maybe this could work. I'm thinking of actually just taking the centerpiece and cutting out the entire rest of it, like all the ring and everything. Fuck it. That might end up being the quarry or the future station. Solar panel, by the way. Well, I guess that could work too. Oh well. Think about that later. Alright, I'm taking another BRB. I am fresh out of water after this. So, BRB.
Hiding in the dark won't make you go.
Oh, I haven't picked anything for the Gorgoleth apiary. Can't even implement it. SMH. Well, let me do this. Yeah, I don't know if there's really a spot for the shadow. I'm not even sure if I have that set up at all in the first place. It looks like I probably do. The only problem here is apparently the iScript is messed up. What script ID is it? Oh, no. Right, so naturally the shadow is fucked up. I forget what they put us now. Alright, done all the Mutalisk morph shit. I guess Lurker. So we've done all this shit. trying to remember if there was some... I feel like there was something else dat requirement-wise I was supposed to hook up here. I guess the lurker den itself needs... same stuff as the bass. We're getting somewhere. Alright, well, I guess I got a fair bit of them. We're getting somewhere. Considering all of the issues we're running into, though, not actually sure what I will be working on in the foreseeable future, like in the immediate future. I could just go back to working on levels, terrain, stuff like that. But I can't really work on consummate levels because we're going to be moving all of the terrain to the Twilight tile set. So that's kind of a wash until we get that work done. I can't really go to like the third Terran mission. I could, but I don't know how different the final layout of it's going to end up being because of the changes to the game state with the pathfinding, the air pathfinding. So there's like good reasons, really logical reasons to avoid working on those things. But if there's nothing else to work on, obviously I'll still do that just because I would like to work on something. I might just decide to work on some melee maps. Hopefully get those done in time for Fraud Night. But I'm getting to the end of what I can really do with the current state of affairs regarding the mod. So, it might just be more of this where I'm doing graphic conversions and trying to get enough stuff so that I can implement a bunch of things when the time comes that we have the ability to. And otherwise working on some melee maps. What time is it? Probably doing a similar time as the previous day for this stream. So. We're really fighting the engine these days. Just smashing it the whole time. Forgot the other. Oh, Starcraft. That's what it is. Alright. We got our shit together there. I guess I'll have to put in the Protoss Elite and Terran Elite stuff next. Yeah. The Beatles. How's it going, Melly? No, this is a reference sheet. So this is like every unit ID matched with its requisite weapon ID and images ID and graphic file and all that shit. It's by far, it's far from complete, but it is what it is. It's pretty important for me to be able to keep track of everything, you know? You know what I can do is I can finally fix the Dragoon shadow. Yeah, filled with IDs, but it's also missing a lot. And I don't have everything that I'm going to need there either. But you know, it is what it is. I guess I will grab the medic one as well. Oh, well, the unit ID is listed in the data file, which we edit with PyDat. PyDat also has a whole other set of categories. So there's Flingy, which is like controlling stats for movement for units that hover. Sprites, which controls some visual things, but mostly like selection circle, health box numbers. Images, which decides if the unit gets, or the graphic gets remapped. And also points to its iScript ID and GRP file. And those are where I'm pulling those from. Obviously weapons as well is in here. So for example, if I was to document what the Marine was, I would say unit ID 0, because it's 0 in this list. It uses weapon ID 0. And then in its graphics tab, it uses graphic 78 for Fling. This is a pointer to Flingy, so Flingy ID would be 78. I would jump to it. Sprite ID would be 235. Image ID would be 239. iScript ID is 78. I don't usually keep track of the GRP ID files, but I do write down the GRP file name. And that's about it. So, in that sense, you can actually modify anything over here. This is like me keeping track of what existing units I've replaced with my new ones, because we can't add new unit IDs. We're stuck with the 227 one or 228 unit IDs that we do have. Eventually, the plan is to remove that limit or raise that limit significantly. Exactly. And it's also useful for anybody who wants to add on to this game state or change something for whatever reason. So this documentation would be like, oh, I want to change the graphic that the Cyprian uses because I don't like the graphic that Pronego picked and I have a better graphic in mind. Or I want to edit its weapon because I want to increase its splash radius. Well, you can go find the weapon ID and you can go find the graphic file that I replaced, and then you can, you know, override that file if you want to, stuff like that. It'll be mostly useful for iQuare if he ends up making another map like his Shroud of Adu map that he made for Full Toilet back in February. Because he was looking for a list that was like this, basically, because which didn't exist until earlier this week. And he was looking for it so that he could continue to, like, he could add new things. He eventually found his way, but it was not without some trial and error. Forgot how many frames the Dragoon had. SMH. fuck? I ordered a microphone and front end, and it says arriving Tuesday by 9 p.m. It's Wednesday, so I don't know if they mean next Tuesday, but they're not giving me specific details. Apparently, it hasn't even shipped to the package or whatever. It has not shipped to. The distribution center or something, so I have no idea what is going on there. Yeah. So, pretty much. Alright, so that's out of here. I've also been mucking about with some new graphics that I pulled from another game. I was thinking that this could be an add-on. I'm looking for an add-on that indicates that there's some sort of like reactor or something else that would speed things up. And the point is that you would have you'd build this add-on on your engineering bay or your armory, and it would increase the speed at which those structures research certain things, like get upgrades, basically. So if you get like infantry weapons level 3, right, but you have this building attached, it speeds it up by like 25% or something. So if that works out, it will be epic. But I don't think that graphic is gonna work out. I think I saw something else that I might end up using it. It's just why this graphic looked way smaller when in the preview, and then I actually looked at it and I was like, oh shit, it's way bigger than I thought. Meanwhile, I was definitely thinking of repurposing this into a turret of some sort, but oh, there's some assembly function we might have to hook for that, but it would basically be like, I'm sure it's feasible. I don't have any doubt there. I guess the problem I see with this graphic is there's no attack animation. There does seem to be... Oh, maybe the animation, or maybe the frame where it's brighter is meant to be the attack animation, and they actually overlaid a muzzle flash as a separate graphic. I guess that would make sense. Well, if you're talking about the space platform doodad, there's no way I would use that, just on the basis of it being... unreadable when you are on space platform. I'm also pretty sure this is going to end up being a production structure for the operatives that I'm coming up with. So there's going to be elite type units. I'm not really comfortable calling them elite units because that conjures up very, very bad ideas from other games. But the idea is that they're like units that you spend more money on than more conventional units. They may have some overlap with the combat role, like there might be a ground unit that attacks air and ground units, and like I don't think he'll have stim pack, but it like you can see it as like a marine corollary or something, some sort of analog to a marine, but won't be the identical unit, just with extra stats. It actually has more material than that, like more utility than that, or like something that's similar to a ghost that might have access to different abilities or something like that, but isn't just like a carbon copy of the ghost with increased stats. So my idea is these units would be distinct. You'd be able to spam them out if you had enough resources, and they would be a way for micro-focused players who are really good at like micromanaging in the middle of battles, to sink a lot of resources, spend a lot of money in one area, right? So that they don't have to worry about floating that much money. Still rewards macro if you're able to, but the idea is that you can use these units, deploy them, and have them be like your APM sink, if you will. Use from a siege tank. I don't know what the fuck that means. No, I'm calling it a future station. Didn't you see that earlier? The add-on that increases research speed? Future station. Check out my future. What do we have? 415. I hope I saved before I close that. Yeah, future station, dude. What's wrong with that? Oh. Yeah, I could overlay that. I mean, eventually we're just going to have unlimited image entries and stuff, so I won't have to worry about stuff like that. I'll just be able to overlay it. Like some new image entry. YouTube does that. Better watch out. They just send you 3 minutes into the past. Alright, close that. Fixing some shadows. Trying to think if there's anything else that I need to fuck around with. I think not. I think we're good. I do enjoy looking at the new siege tank animation for shooting.
Destination.
Happens so fast. Hey, wait. It's not working.
Delighted to, sir.
The fuck?
Absolutely.
Hold on.
Research complete.
Identify target. Proceeding.
Is it really not in this? It's only in framework? What the fuck? I'm pretty sure it's in here. Oh wow, it isn't. Holy shit. How embarrassing. I was gonna show it off and everything. Instead I got embarrassed. It's also going to be a while for this one to be done. So, whatever. And I think that means I also have to pop in here. Whatever, 30 to go. So guys, you can ask Mike anything.
Orders, sir. Moving.
There we go.
Proceeding. Delighted to, sir. Moving. Delighted to, sir.
Oh, I think all game speeds wound up being fastest or something. Yeah. Epic.
Systems hibernating. Unit responding.
Yes, sir.
Need medical attention?
Identify target.
I guess it should be a little bit more centered. Up and to the left. By 1 pixel. Also, apparently we have one empty pixel. Yeah, a couple empty pixels, actually. I'll fix that later. Can you believe it? We finally have a Dragoon Shadow that isn't busted. Though it should probably also be up and to the left. Or maybe just to the left. Hard to tell. Because the shadow is like underneath the bottom leg, so it actually looks like the shadow's extending way further down than it is. When that's just like a dark part of the legs, right? So, like, as you can see, the dark part of the legs is still visible even though the shadow's cut out completely. But when the shadow isn't there, or when the shadow is there, it looks like it's like accentuating it. So it kind of looks fucked up. But whatever. Oh yeah, and the other thing I did by adding in that new tank base is that I stopped it from being.
Orders, sir.
It's no longer rendered with the Badlands tileset palette or whatever the fuck it was. So that's a nice bug fix. I think that's in the changelog or whatever README. Yeah, siege tank, unsieged base, incorrectly palleted. Alright, well, I think that does it. We finally added some shit from Framework, so that's good. And we refined our list. We've done quite a bit. Cool stuff. So, see you guys in a little bit for Duke, and see you guys tomorrow for more modding. Bye.